Roll Tide and welcome to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We're at the LLH Advantage Center at Saban Field. I'm Roger Hoover, now pleased to be joined by Crimson Tide wide receiver and punt return specialist Cole Adams as we get ready for the 2025 season. And Cole, Roll Tide, it's great to have you here.
Roll Tide, yes sir, happy to be here.
Well, first of all, we're happy to have you healthy for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Correct.
After last season. Now, what's the recovery process been like from both an arm and a leg injury you suffered a year ago?
Yes sir. So the South Florida game, went down with the elbow injury, dislocated elbow. The training staff, we have the best training staff in the nation. They got me back in 2 weeks' notice. We had that bye week. And then I was back for that Georgia game, was my first week back, one of the biggest games of the season. Trump was there, so that was an exciting game. Ended up coming out with a W for that game. And then, a couple games later, Missouri game, first possession, go down with an ankle injury. Broke my ankle that game. Coach DeBoer talks about a lot about adversity and coming back from adversity. And, one thing I will say is God doesn't give you something he knows you can't handle. And a lot of those trials and tribulations that he gives you, he knows that you're able to overcome those things. And, it's made me stronger as a human. It's made me grow even farther in my faith. Rehab, just like with my elbow, best training staff in the nation, every single day coming in at 6 a.m. For one of the first ones in, last one's out with this injury. And rehabbing was, not always easy, but, it helped me to become who I am today. And, I'm back up to 100% and ready for the season. So,
yeah, injuries can be kind of a lonely feeling and rehabbing back from one, but it sounds like you had a really good support system. The athletic training staff, coaches, teammates, I imagine family and faith played a huge role in that too.
Yes, sir, 100%. Like you said, like being kind of on the lonely part. You do workouts outside of the team. So, yeah, it can get lonely at times. But, just like I said with my faith, I stayed super strong in my faith, talked with God a ton, and he led me to where I am today. So I can't thank him enough.
So, again, you were making plays not only as a wide receiver, but as a punt returner as well. Let's focus a little bit on punt returning. What do you love about that role?
Man, a lot of your teams depend on you to catch that ball. And I've been called reliable before by Coach Shepard, and it's something that I've really stood up to be. As a guy on this team, I might not be the biggest or the fastest, but I'm going to be the most reliable guy. I need everyone to trust me back there, because that's one of the biggest positions to where you got to have trust, in a coach and in a player. They got to trust you to be back there, because a lot of your, field position is a huge part of the game. And I think being a punt returner is a great way to, have a great field position, making the right decisions, and just being an athlete, man. You can't be scared back there. You can't have nerves back there. And, I think I do a good job of just being ready for the moment, just whenever that moment comes, whenever my name's called to go out there, I'm just ready to be the best I can be.
So much of it is about timing. So much of it is about vision. And I've been on the sidelines for games a lot of times. It's hard to pick up the ball, like for us kind of watching on the sidelines. For you, are there any stadiums where it's hard to pick out the ball out of the sky and kind of pinpoint where you need to be? Or does that just come with all the practice you do?
Yeah, honestly, that's a good question, because, a lot of times we practice during the day, and those night games with the lights, it kind of can get like, to where like, oh my gosh, but honestly, you're so locked in the moment, and you're so ready for the moment that nothing can really knock you off that.
Yeah, so you get to the right spot and you're able to return the ball. Let's talk a little bit about your speed as well. Have you always been one of the fastest people on some of the teams you've been on?
Yes, sir.
How do you feel like you developed it even at a younger Cole Adams growing up?
Man, so I played the game. I started playing the game just because I loved it. I have a twin brother and an older brother. My older brother was a huge guy that I looked up to. Same with my dad. He played sports all throughout growing up as well. He ended up actually getting to play with the Dallas Cowboys for a couple of preseason games, so he knows all about what it takes to be, at this level. And I've just looked up to those guys my whole life. And, like I said, I just started out playing because I loved the game. And it wasn't really until my freshman year of high school I was really like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. I can play at, this level that I see other guys playing on Saturdays. And, I just kept my head down and, was humble and kept my faith with me. And, it led me to where I am today. So I'm very blessed.
Yeah, you saw it as a freshman, and you're playing at Owasso in
Yes, sir.
Oklahoma, and that's a high level of football. I don't think people realize how great the high school football is in Oklahoma.
Yes, sir. You think of Oklahoma and you think, blue collar people. But where we're from, we're 6A down there, and there's some good football down there. And if you go and take a look yourself, you'll see that there's some guys that's come out of Oklahoma, the Tulsa area, absolute ballers that's come out of there. We all know Josh Jacobs. He was right in the center of Tulsa. Guys like that. But yeah, the competition is bigger than what people expect in Oklahoma, being at that 6A level. So just the competition, I think, helped me to be ready for the level, here. And obviously, high school to college is two different levels. But, that's another thing I would love to talk about is my coaching staff at Owasso, Bill Blankenship and all of those guys. He was a D1 coach at one point at the University of Tulsa, and he brought in a lot of D1 coaches. And so I kind of think that helped me be ready for the collegiate level here now. So.
And I imagine that helped too with the recruiting process, because now all of a sudden your name's out there, starting to hear from all these great programs. When did Alabama enter in the mix?
They entered in the mix, I would say about 3/4 through my recruiting process. They were before OU, so that was kind of crazy. But, I was so blessed and happy and excited to get every single offer that I got. But when I got that Alabama offer, it was different than any other offer that I've got. I had like OU, Arkansas, LSU, some really good schools that I was blessed enough to receive an offer from. But when I got the Alabama offer under Coach Saban, it was just it meant more. It was so surreal. I look back at it and it was just it didn't even feel real to get this offer. And that just kind of, it humbled me because, not everyone gets the opportunity to be at a place like this. And I was just super blessed enough to get the chance to come here and make a name for myself.
What do you remember about meeting Coach Saban the first time?
Man, the first time I met Coach Saban, I was a little nervous.
We all have been, yeah.
just like anyone else would be. But I just remember to stand tall, shake his hand very firmly, and look him in the eyes when I was talking to him, and have manners talking to him just like I would with anyone else. But a coach he's an absolute legend, and everyone knows how good of a college head coach he is, coach in general he is. So just to be able to get the opportunity to meet him in itself was awesome. And I remember the time he came to visit my home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of my buddies, seriously, he was just out and about throughout, like after practice or whatever, and he looks out to the side of him at a red stoplight, and he's like, took a second look, and he said, "That's Nick Saban. That's Coach Saban. No, what is he doing here? He might be here for Cole, but what is he doing here? That is unbelievable." So just my whole family was there. Coach Graham, the assistant head coach, was there. He's a huge Alabama fan, so we had him out over to the house as well. But him coming over to the house was love for sure.
That's a big deal. So with that, was Alabama, again, you eventually signed with the Crimson Tide. Around that time of that visit, did you make your decision, or did you have to wait a little bit longer?
So I didn't make the decision from the in-home visit. I took my 3 official visits to Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Alabama. And after those visits, I made my decision. And after the visits, it was pretty clear what I was going to do.
And you came here to Alabama. How special was it getting to play for Coach Saban?
So special, man. Just to be here his last year. I talk about a lot with Bray Hubbard and Ty Lockwood. He was my roommate my freshman year. And golly, it was just such a blessing to get to play under Coach Saban. Was it rough at times? Yeah. Were you nervous at sometimes? Yeah. Was there a lot of pressure? Absolutely. But, pressure makes diamonds. So that's what I think he was really good about.
We were just talking with Parker about the transition going from Coach Saban to Coach DeBoer from the Washington perspective. How about for you going into that meeting on that Wednesday afternoon? Did you have any idea what was coming?
No one had any idea, not even the coaching staff. You could hear a pin drop in that team meeting, and it was for a second everyone was looking around. It was like, is this a joke? Like, what's going on right now? No one really knew he was going to do it. And when he did it, it was honestly a very surreal moment as well, especially for the new enrollees for the class under me. That was some of those kids, that was their first team meeting, so I couldn't imagine what they were going through. But me and my family, my mom and dad and my brothers talk a lot about commitment and what that means. And when I'm committed to somewhere, like, that's where I'm committed to. And I'm committed to this university. I'm not going anywhere no matter who the coach is. And I knew they were going to bring in a phenomenal coach to follow Coach Saban. I think commitment is a word that gets thrown around a lot these days with this new day and age of NIL and transfer portal and all that. So I try to stay strong in my commitment.
And then you get to meet your new head coach, Coach DeBoer. Coach Shepard comes in as well for the wide receivers. What stood out to you about those guys when you first got to meet them?
Coach DeBoer, I could just tell he was a great guy off bat. I kind of knew of what he had done at Washington and the places he had been at before, and I knew he was a very successful coach. He's a family man. He's such a good guy, and he stands by 1-0 and what that means to us as a team. No matter what happened the play before, it doesn't matter. The next play is what matters, to go 1-0 on that very next play. So him just being such a family man and just loving all of us so much, he has a connection with a lot of his teammates, and I think that's just great. And then Coach Shepard, he's really just honestly another father figure for me. He does a great job implementing faith and family before every position meeting we have. It's faith, family, football. So we'll talk about faith. We're going through the book of Job right now throughout fall camp. So that's been absolutely amazing for me. Just talking about the trials and tribulations he went through. And then we do a family aspect of the position. Before the meeting starts, each person, he'll put up like the family on the board, and we'll get up and talk about our family so everyone can be more, connected and have more of a camaraderie of a team, brotherhood. And I think he does a great job of implementing family and faith into everything. And, like I said, he's a father figure, man. He's got it figured out, and he knows what he's talking about.
I think you just answered my next question. What makes this wide receiver room special? That's pretty good, the way you guys connect in that way. But, you got some tremendous athletes and, from what it sounds like, tremendous people in that room.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I think the heart of it all is, honestly, Jeremy Bernard as well. He's been a great leader for our team. He sends Bible scriptures into our group chats, which has led me to send more Bible scriptures into our group chats each and every day. He's so deep in his faith, and it inspires me to go even deeper in my faith as well. But yeah, I think this is the tightest wide receiver position group that I've been a part of since I've been here, and I think we got something special brewing for sure.
And a lot of the great work that has to be done by the wide receivers, it all really starts with the quarterbacks. How have you guys kind of stayed in touch and working even outside of practice with guys like Ty Simpson, Keelan Russell, Austin Mack?
Oh yeah, for sure. Those guys are all great. They could all go play. They could all go start at any other school if they wanted to, but they decided to play here all together. And the three of them being together, there's so much athleticism, and they're all so smart, and they all love football, and that's what I love about them most. They're always coming to me after a play if it didn't go the way we wanted it to. We always talk about like what we can do better. We stay after practice every day and work on the routes that maybe weren't as crisp, or as the passes weren't as crisp as they wanted it to be. We work on those. We watch extra film together. And all three of those guys are absolute ballers. Like I said, they love the game. And with Coach Grubb here this year, he's really elevated them even more than they have been in the past. So all three of those quarterbacks are very special.
What do you feel like your role is going to be in the offense this year?
I don't really like speaking on that as much, just because whatever they want me to do, whatever they have me do, I'm always ready to go. Whenever my name's called, I will be out there. And I'm always ready for the moment, whatever they want me to do for the team. I'm a very big team player. Whatever I can do the team to make the team the best they can possibly be, I'm ready to do that.
You mentioned your friendship with Bray Hubbard. What's it like not only going up against him in practice over the last couple of years, but then the way he emerged after Keon's injury last year? How special was that to see?
Yeah, absolutely. And that just goes to show you, like, you got to take advantage of your opportunities. And he did an absolutely amazing job doing that. I knew he was a baller even before he was where he's at now. But going against him in practice is awesome because he'll hit you.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to hit you for sure. But it helps me with my blocking even more. That's something I think that we have to get better at every single day as a wide receiver group. We can go make plays. We know we can go do that, but implementing blocking and making sure we can do everything right on every single play is really what's going to make us a national championship team. And Bray Hubbard helps out a lot with that.
And I imagine what helps out too is the great running back room that you have. All these great guys that can get downfield, and they're helped by blocks that you guys make.
Yeah, 100%. We have so many, there's so many talented running backs that we have this year between Jam and Dre and Richard and Jay Hill. All those guys. There's so many running backs we have, and it's like, who's going to play, who's going to do what, but that's in God's hands, and I think all of them are ready for the moment as well, and I'm very excited to see what those guys are going to do for us this year as well.
Last question. What do you love about game day in Tuscaloosa? What do you look forward to the most?
Honestly, winning, and they say a lot to, like, take it in. These years will go by super fast, so every once in a while before the game or after the game, I'll just take a second to take in, like, all the fans and how awesome our fans are and how much they support us. I make sure to take a look around and really take everything in because, we won't be here forever, and this time does go by quick. But, if you take a second to step back and, take a look at where you're at and, what you can accomplish, then I think you can be really successful.
Well, Cole Adams, you're doing a great job for the Crimson Tide, and we appreciate you being part of our program. Thank you for the time that you've given us today on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. All the best. Roll Tide.
Thank you, sir. Roll Tide.